crowds. But what are we going to do to, I guess, to make sure that we don't get to those levels? I take Fort Erie's example, where they've got only residents, and they got people guarding the thing to make sure that people coming through. Like, how far do we need to go to, I guess, police the area?
I think that we need to go as far as we need to go to make sure that everyone's kept safe. And one of the first thoughts was we did have a meeting yesterday, and there was several different ideas discussed, and that everybody realizes that there have been problems, and we want to keep it to a minimum, and they're moving towards closing the beach at sunset, so that and obviously another thing that we need to do is patrol for keeping the numbers down, and if that means that we have to monitor it and close down the beach and say, what, sorry, we're at capacity, you cannot enter the beach area, then that might be something else that we have to look at.
Which doesn't seem like a bad idea, but seems like it might take a fair amount of staff to kind of take care of.
Yes, it's, no solution, I think, is an easy solution, and I think that, with what we're going through with COVID and, times have changed. We have to think outside the box, and, at the forefront of everything, it's safety for everyone, and, if we have overcrowding, and like I said, we're working through phase 2, hoping to get into phase 3 eventually, but if we have it where we fall back and say we have another outbreak and we have to, close the beach totally, and that affects people that are, just getting back to work, and businesses that are struggling, trying to get in, and if we have another outbreak and we have to step backwards, that doesn't help anyone either. So, all this is cognizant on every decision that's made with all the facilities that we use, not just the beach.
What else are we kind of going to explore in terms of how to make sure that we kind of keep things? Obviously, the parking in the neighborhood is that's going to have to be a bylaw enforcement to make sure people are getting ticketed or towed, sort of thing, right? That seems like the easiest of the solutions.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the things that we've been working hard at, and getting more enforcement of our bylaw down there. And they will be ticketing and towing people, any cars that are illegally parked, because like I said before, safety is of the utmost importance of, not only our residents, but, our emergency vehicles getting down there, and we have to make sure that we have free access of that.
Outside of that, what are some of the other things that we might be able to implement in relatively short order?
Staff are obviously looking at some of the things that we discussed yesterday, whether that be, like we said, we would close the beach at sunset sort of thing, or in that area. We could maybe limit, like some of the other places have, that it's just St. Catharines residents only. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that we discussed yesterday.
Is there anything on the conversation table? Because I mentioned this to Carlos Garcia the other day when I was talking about Lakeside. When we saw the discussions around parks, there's those circles on the ground to say, hey, here's your space. Is there anything out there that we've come up with or seen that we could kind of take that idea and put it into a beach setting?
I'm sure that there is, like I've seen the circles and whatnot at different parks and stuff. A little bit harder in the sand because it's not something that's stationary. It doesn't stay put, right? You have people running through it and whatnot, but I'm sure there are ways that as we're moving forward and we discover things day by day, there would be something else that we could use to get people to do that. And I think that people, in the most part, are very responsible in using, their best practices of safe distancing and trying to, give other people their space and stuff like that.
So it's a matter of making sure we're cognizant of this and taking care of each other, and I guess also making sure that we're not having kind of some of the physical altercations that popped up the other day. That's another whole ball of wax that we've got to get into, sort of thing. But how quick could we see some of the changes kind of happening, or some things get implemented?
I think that today they'll already have the gates in place so that they will be closing the beach at sunset, or like around dusk time. there was no specific time, but they said that they would have the gate ready for today.
Okay, well, has the problem been predominantly more in that evening hour kind of thing?
I think that it's just been, I think that, well, weekends are probably the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that what they want to be able to try to do is, part of the problem too is that I don't understand this, but people seem to be able to think that, with garbage and whatnot, they just can bring it and leave it wherever. They're not taking away their garbage and whatnot. And I think that with us closing around that time, it gives staff a little bit extra time to clean the washrooms and, kind of catch up on the busyness of the day. And then they're having, bonfires and whatnot, so they tend to be during the evening hours, so we're trying to curb some of that. And some of the partying happens after the later dusk time.
All right, well, it's again part of the process of making sure things stay safe and we kind of keep the distance that we certainly need to have down there. And if we need to have somebody simply taking a head count, then we take a head count sort of thing if it gets to that point. But try to make some changes as we work along. Dawn, thanks a lot for the chat this morning.
Okay, thank you for having me.
There's St. Catharines City Councillor Dawn Dodge. So we look into the beaches, and they did start to text as I went down to the beach last night around 8 o'clock when they were closing. They had cops everywhere blocking off the main drag on Arthur Street. They were stopping everybody to check them for alcohol, too. I would say that's a good idea.